And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. Of course, a brand new week of shows. Definitely started out yesterday with country music icon Mo Bandy was on the show. If you missed that one, you can check out our friends over at hightidecountry.net. And of course, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. High school football underway last week. And this week, week 2 of high school football season down here, we'll have all your broadcasts on CajunCountryRadio.com, presented by our friends over here at, of course, our friends at Honky Tonk Texas, and of course, our friends at Bangtail Whiskey. If you want to check out our sponsors, the websites are at the scroll at the bottom of the screen. Brandon Morrell here flying solo. Of course, Kirsty Kraus out there on the road doing her thing as a musician. Hope to have her back here in a few days, co-hosting some shows here. And please welcome in my featured artist of the day. I tell you what, he's one of Canada's top artists out there. A new single called Child of This Land is across all those digital platforms. Dallas Alexander to the program. Dallas, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, man, first of all, I love your first name. It fits one of our major cities here in Texas. So definitely you've won me over when it came to that too. So definitely some brownie points right there. Well, I always like to kind of start the shows with kind of where it clicked, where it started. When did people, or when did you know specifically, I say people in general, you're kind of your own artist, but when did you know you were going to take this thing, growing up in it, probably surrounded by it with family, music-wise, and take it? And I guess when did the bug bite as far as becoming a full-time musician?
Yeah, I guess I did my first open mic in second half of 2019. So I hadn't been in music for most of my life. I was doing other things. We were talking about sports before. I played hockey my whole life. And then joined the military and did that for quite a while. And yeah, I started writing music. It started with just writing songs because honestly, I found it therapeutic for me. And that actually happened around 2019. And it was due to, sadly, a loss in my life. But after I started writing some songs to kind of deal with that, I was like, wow, this is for me.
And that's the cool thing is like you said, music is kind of that therapy. Writing songs is therapy, kind of giving people a little bit of that healing process out there, if you will, too. And that's the bug that kind of bites there is I love it because all these songs, either you wrote them or you co-wrote songs, stepping in there. And I'm sensing, too, collaborations starting to become a huge part of the process when it comes to the music industry, especially for newer artists like yourself who just getting into it. How important is collaboration for you in this industry?
Yeah, it's extremely important, and not even just on a musical level, with co-writes and stuff like that, but collaboration kind of across the industry. It's been a very welcoming and gracious industry. I was a little bit surprised by that. I didn't know what to expect in the music and kind of entertainment world. But I went down to Nashville a few times now to do some writing and play some rounds and just do that Nashville thing, and I had such a good time and was so well received. I just couldn't believe how nice everyone has been. Down in Texas a handful of weeks ago now to play a show and the same thing. So it's collaboration with songwriting for sure, but it's kind of everything. You line up a show with somebody that you met and you network and they'll come play with you or you go play with them, and it's a really it's a gracious industry.
Yeah, no doubt. I meet a lot of people there too. Like you said, networking hugely important there too. I want to go to your album you guys put out there February of last year, Adios Amigo. We were talking a little bit before the show how much I kind of love that song, and I was telling a few of my buddies, go check this out, man, because it's a little bit different style of country music. He's got his own sound out there, which I really love off this album. Kind of hit on some of the highlights for me a little bit as far as putting out a full-length record there, 8 songs. Highlighted by that title track, which, man, really good feel to that song because you got a little bit of everything going on with Adios Amigo.
Yeah, we actually redid that one. So that was a live album that I put out, like you said. I found as I was playing more and more bar shows and trying to grow and expand where I could play, people were asking if I had music out. So I was sort of obligated to get some songs out there, and I'd had a handful of songs, and we recorded it at that bar, Bowie's, and we got that album out of it. So I was pretty happy with it. But now on my first studio album that is going to be starting to release in Child of This Land is the first single. We got to redo a couple of those songs in the studio, and Adios Amigo was one of them. And it just came out really cool. I sent the master track to a friend, and I'm like, tell me what genre this is, because I have no idea. It's kind of a little bit of a whole bunch of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you had one off of there too that it really caught my attention when it came down to it, not just the title track itself, but also one called "Let It Go." Let's do a little backstory of that one too.
Yeah, that one is therapy and songwriting for me. And I think it's the song I've gotten the most comments on, actually. The people just found it very beneficial for certain parts or certain challenges in their own life. And it's essentially me just jotting down some life lessons. been through some things that were hard, and about the best way I found to deal with it is just to, remember to breathe, and you can let it go when the time's right.
We need all that to take that step back and breathe on an everyday basis too. Another one off of there too that I thought was kind of, definitely for someone like me too. And of course, every guy grows up can probably relate to something like this. I really like This Girl that was on this particular record too. Talk about that one a little bit for us.
Yeah, that was it. It was a love song, but it wasn't just about love. I think you can be with someone and love them, and you don't always like them. Can go through phases. But yeah, the girl that I'm talking about, I really love her, and I so happen to really like her also.
Well, it's for every good country song, there's got to be a good beer drinking song, four-wheeler song, or some type of truck song in there too, and of course, a song about a girl to have a great country record there too. We'll take a quick time out here. More with Dallas Alexander. It is the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com, and of course, our friends at High Tide Country .net. That's the latest album, and of course, we'll come back talk a lot about the latest single out there from Dallas here after a timeout for our friends at Bangtail Whiskey. Hang tight, more coming back. Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And back here on the show again, the Backstage Pass, of course, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com and our friends over at HighTideCountry.net. You can catch us there, presented by Bangtail Whiskey and our friends over at Honky Tonk Texas. Back here with Dallas Alexander. Just love that name there. Dallas, Texas, Dallas Alexander. It all goes together here on the show here too. Talking a lot about Adios Amigos, which is the live album, and of course getting ready for that first studio album coming up, and about to dive into the single here too. I wanted to ask you about that first album, exciting times for your camp there too. You mentioned about the first studio produced one. Everybody loves to step in there, kind of see what the vocals are going to do, the instrumentation, the production. I know you got to have a good team behind every great artist. There's a great team out there too. Talk about some of the team and when we can expect release on this thing, because I'm ready for this first studio album too.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Like, I went in with the songs that I had written on just kind of my acoustic guitar, and there's a collection of musicians brought together really by the guys at MCC Studio, Johnny, and at Gore Bamford, who's a Canadian country artist, really been doing well for a long time, and he gathered up the best musicians in Canada, seemingly, and it was unbelievable to see how professional, how knowledgeable everybody was, but also open to the guidance of what I wanted this sound to be, because it is a little different than all the bands they normally play in. And I just had a vision of where I wanted the songs to go. And they also, had freedom to do what do you think this would be like if you knew my vibe was this? And the way they came out is I'm so excited to be putting them out. I don't even want to wait in between releases like the strategy is telling me to, but I'm being patient.
Well, one off of there too, it was a great party song too that everybody loves when they go to a concert or something like that, or at least to sit in the stands or their standing room only type thing, is Rowdy Crowd. So that's the one that's toward the end of the live album that's out there, Adios Amigos. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, that one I kind of wanted to write a song, and the lyrics in it are a bit of a a head nod to Hank Jr. and some party like songs. And I was thinking of live audience when I wrote that one, and it's been one of the more fun songs to play live because there's
Hmm.
the "We Are the Rowdy Crowd" part is pretty easy to sing along with, and by the time we play it, most of the time folks have had a handful of beers.
They already hammered, having a good time, and forgot what it was like to forgot all the troubles a few hours back, and of course
That's
what
right.
they're
They
going to
let
do
it all
tomorrow.
go.
It's all drunk, it's gone, and you don't have to worry about waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, or maybe some do to go to work too. And like I said, the troubles are all washed away out there too. Hey, you've got such a unique sound and such a unique voice. I'm sure you've been told that by a lot of people. But growing up, when it came to musical influences, no matter what genre of music, who were you digging? Who were you, I guess, blaring your radio to back then?
Yeah, in my young days, I guess my father was the DJ, and there's a lot of bands like CCR, AC/DC,
Hmm.
and guys like Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard. That was kind of always what was being played in the van. We had a one country station where I grew up that we could get AM, so it was kind of whatever was going on there was what we were listening to. As I grew up, I got into kind of some rock and alternative rock music into kind of junior high and high school.
Hmm.
Um, some of the grunge stuff. I liked some of the writing styles of like the songs that Nirvana was putting out actually,
Oh yeah. Mhm.
um, and still go back to that Unplugged album quite often and give
It's a
it a
good one.
spin too. Um, yeah, that was most of it. Young was rock and country and some southern rock stuff, and then into alternative and all kinds of stuff growing up. And most of it is country now.
Hmm.
And I like a lot of the stuff from Texas. I like a
Hmm.
lot of kind of the alt country. I don't know. There's a bunch of different names for it depending on what you're talking about, Texas or red dirt or alt country. But
Yeah.
there's some really good music happening right now.
Yeah, speaking of that too, great kind of question. Segue here with this too, with the great music here, Red Dirt, whatever you want to call it, Texas country, a little bit of that too, '90s country, neo traditional, that kind of thing. Because we do talk to a lot of artists here on the program that really bring back that '90s sound. If
Yeah.
you were to kind of shape yourself kind of down that path of an artist now that does Americana or does say a Texas artist too, I kind of feel there's a little bit of Aaron Watson in you. Aaron's done the program here with me several times, and there's a little bit of something there. I kind of get a feel. But if you were to kind of shape yourself or someone you're looking to kind of take the mirror image of down the road as you pave your own way as an artist out there, whether it be a Nashville artist or a Texas artist, who are you mostly closely aligned to? Do you feel like as far as a career moving forward?
Yeah, I think it would be a bit of a blend. Just like I wasn't sure where Adios Amigo fit in a genre. I think it's a blend of some of the bands that really inspire me, and that would be like Cody Jinks, I think,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
and then sprinkle a little bit of Whiskey Myers in there, and then I love Turnpike Troubadours and how much they lean on the fiddle. There's a lot of fiddle in all of my music, so I think it would be a mix of those two, uh, and in some songs even a little bit darker maybe uh, than those three. So those three sprinkle a little bit of darkness.
Some great names there too, no doubt. And like I said, Cody Jinks, one of the best out there too. And that little darker kind of feel, the image I kind of get with your music out there, which kind of brings me to the current single you mentioned. It's going to lead off this debut studio album coming out, "Child of This Land." I haven't heard anything when it came out August 16th. I went, man, that's unique. And I'm not saying a lot of songs kind of run together. Of course, I listen to music a lot, probably more than some people do on an everyday basis. But when you hear something like this, it's kind of like that's fresh, that's new, and for me, it was like very unique because I was like, man, I haven't really. No, I can dig this. There's a little bit of crossover with Texas country, a little bit of red dirt, like you mentioned there too, a little bit, and also that Americana feel to this because there were so many cool things instrumentation wise in this song. Break this one down for us, and really kind of the thought of this just sending a great message, "Child of This Land."
Yeah, this one was I wrote it. I was in Nashville actually when I wrote this, but it was after I just finished a co-write with some folks, and I was just back at my hotel room, and I started playing this chord progression, and then this just kind of came out, which is a weird place that songs come from sometimes.
Hmm.
But when I got to the studio, I knew I knew that I wanted lots of fiddle. I kind of knew the groove. But like I said, the musicians that were there were unbelievable, and they just took this whole vibe and turned it into what it was. And then because a lot of it is written about where I grew up, I wanted to get an indigenous singer in there's kind of 2 musical breaks sort of in there. And I connected with a guy from near Calgary, Alberta, and he went to the studio when I wasn't there. I had to fly out for something else, and he went, and when they sent me the track back, I was blown away. I was like, I couldn't even describe it. You know, like I wouldn't have been able to describe that to someone to get it as good as he did it. So I was very excited about that.
Yeah, and it's definitely its own feel, very indigenous. It's one of those songs that definitely will put you in the mood, make you think about life, and definitely talk a lot about the land and people grew up and have that small town kind of feel to it. That's what I got from it when it came down to, resonating with a song that you hear for the first time when, it came out there just a couple of weeks ago. Of course, I always tell people it's great to have advanced copies and do a show like this. I'd heard it before it came out there a few months back, but I've had that opinion on it for a while to go, this is groovy. I can feel this. And congrats on this one, kind of getting ready to kick off the studio album too. There was another one off of the live album, which I always say it's pretty cool when an artist can take it from the studio and just like kick ass on the live scene and put out this album too. This one was kind of a great title, Little Bit Hippie. Let's talk about this one.
Yeah, well, that's actually one we redid in the studio that will be coming out in the next year also. Okay. And that one was just, that was another song that kind of drew from growing up, where I grew up, how I grew up, and the fact that I was, I was a mix between, I grew up in the middle of nowhere in this, like, we call it a Métis settlement, a little indigenous community. But between that and then into my later years playing hockey and stuff, moving to bigger towns and cities, and I was always, looked at like a little bit hippie because I wanted to be out in nature and I wanted to be in the woods the same way I grew up. But I was also finding my way and I'm going to the country bars and I love spending time out on the town. So it was kind of talking about that, just the way I was raised, and how it got me to where I was at the time that I wrote that song.
You mentioned Gord Bamford, who have done the show with many times here, and one of the Canada's finest when it comes to one of the most talented individuals out there too. Been doing it a long time, a lot of success in it. Of course, his own tours and stuff like that. Man, Canadian artists are really making their impact right now on the scene. One in particular who's kicking ass, Lainey Wilson, and of course other females out there that are doing their thing. What is it about, or at least in your eyes, your opinion too, what is it about Canadian artists, man, for country, whether it be male or female, like just really doing their thing? And for me, with it being 2023, I feel like it's as strong as it's ever been when it comes to Canada's kind of influx in the country music side of things. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of towns and a lot of little communities and stuff across Canada that just, they grow up country. They grow up in the country. They grow up doing country things. So when you step off to start writing songs and you're writing about life, they come out very country. So yeah, we got farmers and ranchers and backwoods people and rednecks all across Canada, and so they're all doing country things. So when you get the musicians from those communities, there's good support to play all the different rodeos and country bars and everything that happen in fairs. And so I think it's just, we got a lot of country stuff going on also, and it kind of shines through in the music that's coming out.
Was there, again, it probably has been an early kind of milestone for you, like you said, early in your career? Was there one that sticks out? I mean, you played a lot of shows, you've done a lot of things live, you got your first, album coming out. You mentioned studio album coming out here real soon. Was there a first early milestone that really kind of hit you and you said, man, it's pretty cool I accomplished this early in my career?
Oh, wow. There's been a lot. Yeah. I've been super grateful time and time again. I played last summer. I played my first big festival out in Prince Edward Island, and that was such an amazing experience. It was really the first show I'd play with a full band. Did my first writers round in Nashville, Tennessee, which was a dream come true. Like, I went down to do some co-writes. My second trip, I got on a writers round, and it was a damn good one. And that was like, I couldn't believe it. And then I went back and I played a show in Nashville, which was another thing. And like I was just saying, I played it in Texas a few weeks ago, which was just another thing that was a dream come true. And I want to spend a lot more time down there exploring and playing and meeting people. And then just some of the venues, we just played a place. Actually, we're going to be playing it again this fall with Gord Bamford, but Horseshoe Tavern. It's like a legendary spot in Toronto, Ontario.
Okay.
All kinds of musicians have played there, from Rolling Stones to, some of the guys I like, Tyler Childers and Coulter Wall. And so it was from load in to when I left those back doors, it was such an amazing experience the entire evening there. So yeah, there's been a lot of moments where I'm just very, very grateful that it's rolling.
No doubt, man. There's more to come too. Like I said, we'll talk about that too, and then come back and do a little rapid fire here. What I mean by that is more stages to come, more big time festivals, and the music is catchy. I'm telling people out there right now, go download it. Get the stream numbers up and give him a like on social media, because you're not going to hear another artist as versatile as Dallas Alexander out there across all the digital platforms. We'll come back here, put the final touches on here. Don't forget, coming up here in a few minutes, our Labor Day weekend show is this weekend, presented by our friends at Full Circle Moments out there at Pedrati's Ranch, just outside of San Antonio, Texas. A legendary show. Johnny Lee, and of course Mo Bandy, who was on the show yesterday, and our good friend TG Shepard is going to come on here just a little bit, and we'll talk about that big show coming up this Saturday night, September 2nd. Tickets can be purchased at ticketbud.com for more information there too, at Full Circle Moments LLC.com as well, and on social media out there at Full Circle Moments. More with Dallas Alexander here. It is the Backstage Pass at HighTideCountry.net and the Sports Guys podcast.com. Hang tight, coming right back.
The Bangtail Pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here on the show again, it is the Backstage Pass coming up here in a few weeks. So the great Josh Turner going to stop by, as well as Heath Wright from the 90s band Ricochet. They're going to put out they just put out a new album August 18th, so be sure and check that out too as well. And a whole lot more. Jenny Tolman this Thursday, and just some more great Nashville and probably Canadian artists like Dallas mixed in there over the next few weeks here on the Backstage Pass. Coming up here in just minutes, our good friend TG Shepard, 21 number one hits, and I'm sure they're still counting out there somewhere on the board too as well. We'll talk to TG about the big Labor Day weekend concert coming up this Saturday, September 2nd at Pedrati's Ranch in San Antonio, Texas. Back here with Dallas Alexander. You can catch him at dallasalexander.ca on the internet, and of course out there on social media, and go download the latest single, Child of This Land, across all the digital platforms out there. All right, I like to have a little fun with rapid fire here, throw some things around. You never know what's going to come, questions I'll ask, but the good thing is no right or wrong answers when it comes down to it. All right, for me, I got to travel there to the west side of Canada, second time, somewhere in there. Went to the central part, west side, probably 2 or 3 times I've been there, so I love the country. Almost considered, like you said, redneck, the west side of it down there. Farming, it's huge out there. Ranchers, as much as Texas is here, got some good friends that live on the west side, and definitely they call us rednecks, so I can throw it right back at them too. Food up there, man. Food is fantastic. No matter what restaurant you go to, I loved and tried poutine for the first time. For you, when you guys are on the road playing shows in Canada, what's kind of the go-to dish in your home country?
Oh man, for me, I just love steak. I'm from Alberta, AAA Alberta beef.
Yeah.
If I eat it every meal of the day on the road, I'll buy it and just eat it in the morning. I'm a steak guy.
Steak guy, I like that too. All right, when it comes to your shows, what do you like to binge watch? Movies or television shows? What do you get into?
Oh man, we don't watch a ton of shows, but what I do watch a ton of is I really enjoy like acoustic session videos on YouTube. I watch all kinds of artists play. That's my show. I'll get into it, and YouTube will just keep giving me what I want. Sit there and watch acoustic music for hours.
I like that. Customize, maybe just keep throwing it at you. Click on one, they'll just keep filling it up with more right there too, and right behind it too. All right, let's say you'd won the lottery in your home country. What's the first thing you do with the first paycheck?
I'd probably buy a tour bus.
A lot of people have said that too. That's a good investment right there.
Road and comfort, you know?
Yes, get you one of the big buses, 38, 40-footer motorhome, something like that, big RV, and just tour the world and play the crap out of this great music right there too. I love it, which is fantastic. All right, do you remember the title of the first song, or what was the song about? The first one you ever sang on stage?
Oh wow.
And it could be a cover.
Yeah, I think the first song I ever sang on stage was actually an original, and that would have been at the open mic in 2019. I wrote a song called "Pass It On," and it was about when weed became legal here in Canada, and I saw my mom smoking marijuana for the first time.
I got to hear that. There was a version of it, I believe it was on. There was a remix version. Maybe I don't know if it's the same one, but it was on Apple Music.
Yeah. I think it's
okay.
Still up there somewhere. Yeah.
I know sometimes they throw up things, and I just like to verify that. It's like, okay, is that what I'm hearing there too? Because it sounded like it, and I just got to hear that one as I looked at it too. Let's do one here as far as cartoons growing up. I'd love to have fun with this one, whether it be G.I. Joe, Transformers, or like a He-Man or something or whatever. What was your cartoon, the flavor growing up?
Yeah, I remember watching He-Man a lot, and I think it was just more my older brother had it on, and I was just always trying to see what was happening with He-Man.
Yeah.
That was the go-to.
By the power of Grayskull, no doubt. Thundercats, I was going to throw in there. Was Thundercats on your radar too?
Too, yeah. Those two always seem to go hand in hand, actually.
They do. All right, we'll finish with this one. Dream stage to step on that you haven't stepped on yet. Is it the Grand Ole Opry or is it something else?
Man, I think I want to play Red Rocks.
Red Rocks, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Grand Ole Opry would be great if they're calling. But
well, hey, it's one of the dreams. It could be one of the stages. You could have multiple. Red Rocks is another fantastic stage to step on, man. Dude, I love your artistry. You're authentic. I love what you're about. This whole thing is awesome. It started out with the live album Adios Amigo, which is across the digital platforms, continues with the single Child of This Land. And I encourage people to go out there, DallasAlexander.ca for the website out there to purchase merchandise. Give him a like on social media. Man, you killed it. First time out of the box, first time on the show here on the Backstage Pass. Feel free to come back anytime when the new music comes out. Best of luck with the studio album, and thanks for dropping us a vine for a little bit, you know?
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to come down to Texas and visit some more.
Yeah, let's do it, man. We'll hook up and we'll exchange contact information. Looking forward to getting down to Texas. We can get out there, hopefully cover a show. And, of course, we got a show for you guys this weekend, Saturday, September 2nd at Pedrati's Ranch in San Antonio, Texas, our little town Helotes. And, of course, the legend, Mo Bandy, Johnny Lee, and our next guest, T.G. Shepherd, coming up here in a matter of minutes here on the Backstage Pass. We'll talk about that and, of course, TJ's newest projects out there when it comes to music. We'll see you guys in a matter of minutes. T.G. Shepherd here. It is the Backstage Pass presented by Bangtail Whiskey and our friends at Honky Tonk, Texas. Coming right back. Hang tight.